Princess Adamma stood frozen in the middle of her chamber, her eyes locked on the letter King Ofodile had dropped on the table. Nneka came close, whispering, "What did he say, my princess?" Adamma didn't answer. She reached for the letter and picked it up with steady hands. But inside her chest, her heartbeat thundered like a talking drum. She opened it. Her eyes scanned the lines. It wasn't long, but it was enough. "My dear Adamma, I do not know what news reaches you there, but my spirit is restless. I fear this marriage is more dangerous than we imagined. There are movements we don't understand, but if ever you feel unsafe, I will send word when it's time. Watch closely, trust no one, not even the king." From Uncle Obuefi. Adamma's fingers trembled now. She had no idea what was going on. The door burst open a moment later. Mama Ifeoma stepped in, her voice shaking. "My princess, you need to come now." The inner palace courtyard was dimly lit. Candles burned along the corridor walls, casting long shadows. King Ofodile stood at the far end with 3 of his guards, his jaw tight, his fists clenched behind his back. Chiamaka was there too, standing slightly behind the king. When Princess Adamma entered, she could feel everyone's eyes. She didn't rush, even though she had no idea what she was walking into. "You knew about the letter, didn't you?" King Ofodile said before she could speak. "No," she answered firmly. "I saw it for the first time when you gave it to me." "Then why did it come hidden in a basket of your supplies?" he asked. Her brow furrowed. "I don't know." He stepped closer. "Your uncle is warning you to watch me, that this marriage is dangerous." Princess Adamma met his eyes and said, "And do you think he is wrong, your highness?" That question hung in the air like smoke. One of the guards stepped forward with the basket the letter had been hidden in. King Ofodile turned towards Chiamaka and asked, "Who inspected the supply baskets from Umunnachi last week?" Chiamaka looked between them and replied, "I did." "Did you see any sealed letter?" he asked. "No," she said quietly. Princess Adamma watched her. Her heart was pounding, but her face remained calm. King Ofodile looked back at Princess Adamma. "So your family is sending you secret warnings, and you claim you know nothing about it." "I didn't come here with secrets," she said, louder now. "But you haven't given me a single reason to feel safe either." And for a second, the king said nothing. Then he turned to his men and said, "Leave us." And everyone filed out. Even Mama Ifeoma hesitated before bowing and backing away. Only the king and the princess remained in the courtyard. He walked to one of the stone pillars and leaned against it. "You confuse me," he muttered. She folded her arms. "You confuse me too. I should not be talking to you right now," he said, his eyes locked on her. "I should be questioning you or punishing you. And yet, here you are," she replied. They stared at each other. The silence was no longer cold. It was full and charged. Ofodile finally broke it. "I know your people didn't send you here just for peace. They sent you to watch, to learn, and to find out our weaknesses." "I wasn't sent to destroy you," Adamma said. "I was sent because your people would have destroyed mine." He looked at her. For the first time, his expression wasn't anger. It was something more, like curiosity. "You're not like what I expected," he said. "And what did you expect?" Adamma muttered. He thought for a moment. "A jewel, polished, pretty, and quiet." Adamma tilted her head. "And now? I see something sharp, something with a mouth." She smiled faintly. "Then perhaps you're finally seeing me." That night, Princess Adamma returned to her room and sat at the window for a long time. Nneka watched her from across the room. "Do you think the king believes you now?" she asked. Adamma shook her head slowly. "No, but I think for the first time he's trying to." Just then, there was a knock on the door. Nneka got up to check who was knocking. When she opened the door, she saw a large tray of food. Inside the tray was a plate of roasted chicken, honeyed yam, and fresh pineapple slices, and beside one of the plates was a folded cloth napkin with something tucked inside. Adamma opened the cloth napkin to find a bronze hand-carved hairpin. She recognized it. She had worn it the first night she arrived in Umunora, but she lost it in the courtyard. Someone had kept it. She closed her palm over it and said nothing. The next morning, while walking with Chiamaka in the garden, Adamma noticed two palace wives watching from a distance, whispering and pointing at her. She turned to Chiamaka and said, "They still think I'm a threat." Chiamaka smiled. Her eyes focused ahead as she replied, "It's not that they think you're a threat, Adamma." "Then what?" Adamma questioned. "They finally realized you're not going anywhere," Chiamaka replied. Adamma opened her mouth to respond when a palace boy rushed into the garden, breathless. "Your Highness, you must come. The king collapsed in council. He's not waking up." The council room was empty by the time Adamma arrived. The guards were outside, tense and still. The elders murmured in worried tones. The palace wives stood clustered to one side, whispering. No one had any answers. Adamma didn't wait to be summoned. She walked straight into the chamber, with Nneka and Mami Foma close behind. King Ofodile was lying on a mat in the center of the room, his eyes closed, his chest rising and falling too slowly, sweat glistening on his forehead. His cousin knelt behind him, wiping his face with a damp cloth, her hands trembling. When she looked up and saw Adamma, she stood up quickly and said he was speaking. Then he just went quiet and slumped. Mama Ifeoma bent to check his pulse. "He's burning up. This is not ordinary tiredness," she screamed. A palace healer rushed in, carrying a calabash and a leather pouch. Adamma stepped aside to let her walk, but she didn't leave the room. She stood still, her fingers clenched, her heart pounding. She hadn't realized how much she had been watching him, studying him, trying to understand him, and now, seeing him so still, so human, it scared her. The healer placed a hand on his chest and said, "He will wake. He needs a lot of rest and no loud noises, no stress. He must not sit in the palace council meeting for days." Everyone nodded, but no one moved. Then the healer turned to Adamma and said, "You are his wife. You will tend to him, feed him, and bathe him if needed." Adamma blinked. Chiamaka's eyes widened. Some of the palace wives exchanged looks. "I'll do it," Adamma said quietly. Not for show, not to prove anything, but because somewhere inside her she wanted to. They moved the king to a private chamber. The servants brought a fresh mat, soft pillows, herbs, and cloths. Adamma sat at his side, wiping his neck, applying oil on his arms. She didn't speak much. She just walked, gently, slowly, and with care. That night, after everyone had left, she remained beside him, with Nneka asleep in the corner. His fever broke just before dawn. Ofodile stared, his eyes fluttering open. The first thing he saw was her hair slightly loose, her face bare, and her hand resting gently on his. He blinked again. "You stayed?" His voice was low, but rough. "I did," she whispered. "You didn't have to," he muttered. "I know," she whispered. He watched her quietly for a second, and then he hoarsely said, "You're not what I expected." She gave a small smile and replied, "You said that before. This time I mean it in a different way," he added. The next few days changed everything. Adamma cared for him with softness. She brought him soup made by her own hands. She read to him from old scrolls. She asked about his scars and listened without judgment. And slowly, he began to open up to her. She asked her about her mother, her favorite fruits, whether she misses her father, if she ever regretted coming to his kingdom. One night, he said to her, "You carry silence like armor." She looked up and said, "What do you mean? You smile when you are hot." You speak softly when you want to scream, but your eyes, they don't lie. She met his gaze fully this time. Then stop looking at my mouth, your highness, and start looking at my eyes. His throat moved as he swallowed. I've already been looking. Chiamaka noticed how often the king asked for Princess Adamma, how his tone changed whenever she entered the room. One afternoon, she cornered Adamma in the courtyard. You've done well, she said sweetly. The entire palace sees it. Adamma didn't smile. Sees what? That he's beginning to enjoy your company, and you enjoy his. Chiamaka leaned in slightly. But don't forget why you are here. You didn't marry for love. I didn't, Adamma agreed. But now that I'm here, I will not live like a shadow. Chiamaka's smile faded, and Adamma walked away. That night, after dinner, King Ofodile walked with Princess Adamma through the outer garden. The moon was full. They walked in silence at first. Then he said, "Before you, I thought marriage was chains." "And now?" she asked. He stopped. "I don't know. It still feels like a chain sometimes, but one I don't mind wearing." She turned to face him. He looked at her mouth. "I thought you were pretending at first. All that grace, the calm, the way you never raise your voice." "And now?" she asked. He stepped closer and continued. "Now, I think you're more dangerous than me." She smiled. "You're right. I'm dangerous." Their faces were close now, and her heart was beating louder than ever. He looked down at her lips, but just as he leaned in for a kiss, a guard's footsteps echoed down the path. So they pulled apart. "Your Highness, a message has arrived from Umunnachi and is sealed," said the palace guard. Adamma reached for it with both hands, but Ofodile stopped her and said, "Let me open it first." The letter from Umunnachi was sealed with the royal crest, her father's mark. The sight of it stirred something in Adamma's chest. King Ofodile held it in his hands, his expression unreadable. They stood side by side in the dim hallway, torchlight flickering on the walls. He didn't open it right away. "You are tense," he said, without looking at her. "It could be anything," she replied. "Or it could be more warnings. More messages telling you to spy on me." She exhaled, frustrated. "Are we back to this again?" "I am still the king," he said sharply. Adamma lowered her head. He tore open the seal. His eyes moved quickly over the lines, then slowly. Then he read the last line 3 times. Adamma leaned in, but he pulled the scroll away. "What does it say?" He handed it to her. His jaw clenched. She read it. "Adam, you've done more than we asked. Your strength in that palace has given us time, but Umunnora is beginning to stretch again. The warriors have claimed another river path near our border. This marriage is not holding. We may need to withdraw you. If it comes to that, be ready. From your father, Igbo." She looked up at Ofodile. His eyes were on her, but not with curiosity. It was with disappointment. "Withdrawing you?" he said, his voice low and bitter. "So I was a strategy all along." "No," she said immediately. "That's not what this is, isn't it?" He stepped closer. "Every time I begin to believe this marriage could be more than convenience, another scroll appears to remind me that I'm just a pawn." "You're not," she said, her voice shaking. He held her gaze for a long moment. His jaw flexed. His fist curled. "I need time," he muttered, turning away, and he walked down the corridor, leaving her alone with the letter in her hand. The news spread fast. By morning, the palace council was murmuring about Umunnachi's letter. No one said it out loud, but everyone knew. They thought she was a traitor. The palace cooks grew silent again when Princess Adamma entered the kitchen. The guards bowed a little less deeply. Even Chiamaka, who had been growing more distant since the king fell ill, now greeted her with an overly sweet smile that stung more than silence. "Have you seen the king today?" Adamma asked once in the hallway. "He's with his generals," Chiamaka replied. "He's trying to decide if this marriage still protects us, or if it's just delaying the inevitable," she said with a smile. That evening, Princess Adamma went to the garden to clear her head. She sat on the edge of the stone fountain. Her hair was loose, her face bare. She looked nothing like a queen, and yet, somehow, more. King Ofodile found her there, alone. The sky was darkening, and the air was thick with the smell of rain. He didn't say anything for a while. He just stood behind her, his arms folded, just watching her. "Why didn't you tell me?" he finally asked. Adamma didn't turn around as she answered, "Because I didn't know. My father never asked me. He never told me." "You expect me to believe that?" he asked. "No," she said softly. "I expect you to decide if you know me by now." He became silent. Then she turned to face him. Her voice was firm now, but not angry. "You say you don't trust anyone, that you've seen betrayal in every corner. But when someone stands in front of you and gives you their whole self, you still push them away." "I've had to," he said quietly. "That's how I survived." "You're not surviving anymore," she replied. "You're ruling, you're living, and you're loved." The last word caught him off guard. He stepped closer. "Are you saying you love me?" "I don't know," she whispered. "But I know I don't want to go. I know I want to stay here with you." The torchlight danced across their faces. This time, when he reached for her, she didn't pull back. His hand brushed her jaw. Her cheek leaned into it. Their lips met, soft at first, hesitant, then deeper and heavier. He kissed her like he had been holding back for weeks. She kissed him like she wasn't sure they would have another chance. When they pulled apart, his forehead rested on hers. "You terrify me," he said. She smiled. "You annoy me." Then they both laughed, a little breathless, a little scared of what had just happened. Before the moment could settle, a loud knock came at the garden gate. A guard rushed in. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing low. "The palace council demands your presence now." Ofodile's face darkened. "Why?" "There's been an attack. 2 Umunnara farmers were killed near the Umunnachi border. The elders are saying the marriage has failed." Adamma's stomach dropped. Ofodile looked at her. His face was unreadable. "I have to go," he said. She nodded, but before he turned away, he said, "Go back to your chambers, and do not leave your chambers no matter what you hear." The palace council chamber was packed. For the first time in months, even the outer court elders had been summoned. King Ofodile entered wearing a dark red wrapper, his chest bare except for his lion tooth pendant. His face was calm, but his jaw was tight, and his eyes scanned the room like a man preparing for battle with words. At the center of the gathering was Elder Idu, one of the loudest voices in the council, and one of the quietest enemies of Adamma's marriage from the start. He stood up, slamming his staff on the ground. "We have buried 2 of our sons this morning, 2 innocent men cut down near the Umunnachi border, and we are expected to believe this alliance still holds." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. Another elder rose. "This marriage was a mistake. Let the princess return to her people before she completes what they have started." King Ofodile raised his hand, and the room became silent immediately. "There is no proof Umunnachi ordered the attack," he said calmly. "They have denied it, and we are investigating." Elder Idu sneered. "And while we investigate, how many more of our people will die?" "My king, is your judgment clouded because of a woman you've grown too fond of?" The words struck like a slap. Gasps filled the room. King Ofodile did not flinch. "She is my wife," he said, "not a stranger, not a spy, and she has stood in this palace with more dignity than some of the men seated here." Elder Idu stepped forward. "Then prove it. Strip her of her title. Send her away. If this alliance truly means nothing to you, if she is here by love and not strategy, then send her away and still stand with her." Back in the East Wing, Princess Adamma paced her chambers, restless. She hadn't eaten. Nneka and Mama Ifeoma had tried to calm her down, but even they were unsettled. Chiamaka had come by earlier just for a moment, only to say, "The council is hungry for blood today. Don't let your hope rise." Then she left without another word. Adamma stared at the window, the memory of his hand brushing hers, of his lips against hers in the garden. Had any of it been real? She didn't know anymore. The next morning, the palace bell rang 3 times for a public announcement. Every household in Umunora stepped outside. The king stood on the royal balcony, his guards behind him, the elders below. Princess Adamma was not beside him. Instead, she stood hidden behind one of the palace pillars, listening. King Ofodile spoke. "My people," he began with a firm voice, "you have questioned my wife's loyalty. You have doubted her heart. You have blamed her for the war of our ancestors. But you forget she was given to us when she could have run. She stood among enemies when she could have turned back. She nursed your king and she learned our customs. She earned your respect and mine as well." He turned slightly, his voice lower but strong. "Umunnachi may not be our brother, but Adamma is our queen." The crowd murmured. Some clapped. Some remained silent. He turned and walked off the balcony. Adamma stood at the edge of the fountain again that night, staring at the water. She hadn't spoken to him since the speech. She hadn't known what to say. Then she heard his footsteps. He didn't announce himself. He just came to stand beside her. "I expected you to be angry," she said, looking at him. "I expected you to run," he replied. She smiled faintly. "I almost did." They were quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I'm not used to softness or to women who ask for nothing but give everything." She looked up at him. "Then you should get used to it because I'm not leaving." He smiled, and then, without another word, he took her hand. They stood together in the quiet night, not as king and queen, not as warrior and peace offering, but as two people who had walked through suspicion, pride, grief, and fire, and still reached for each other.